Ciao everyone and welcome back to a new episode of Learn Italian with Song. Today we talk about L'albero delle noci by Brunori Sas, ranked third place during the Sanremo Music Festival 2025 this year. So, where shall we start? First of all, the title. The title literally translates as the walnut tree. And the name, the title, also gives the title to the album where the song comes from. But why this very peculiar title, if you think about it? Well, quoting a translation from one of the interviews of Brunori, whose actual name is Dario Brunori, he said, "The walnut tree is in front of my house. I always look at it when something buzzes in my head. Also because for years I have been convinced that it's the tree suggesting the songs I write." Of course, this has to be meant in a poetic way. Brunori is not insane, okay? He's not talking with trees. So it's totally fine. It's a poetic metaphor, okay? It's like the tree is the muse of the poet, all right? So, as far as concerned the lyrics, the artist received the Premio Sergio Bardotti, an award given during the Sanremo Music Festival, because of course at the end of the Sanremo Music Festival you have the first rank award at the festival, but you also have other prizes, other awards. I forgot to say that also Lucio Corsi with Volevo essere un duro got some awards, but you can check them out, they are easy to find. Specifically for L'albero delle noci, the award Sergio Bardotti is given to the best lyrics in the festival, and in fact the lyrics of this song received the prizes also from Lorenzo Coveri. We spoke about this professor and scholar from the Accademia della Crusca, one of the major organizations ruling over the Italian language, because not only it is very deep meaning-wise, but it's also well written. We're going to talk about this difference for another song that arrived in the top 5 this year at Sanremo Music Festival. Because one thing is having writing a meaningful lyrics. Another thing is writing lyrics that are also poetically and properly communicating the meaning behind them. So, what's this meaning? Let's quote once again Brunori himself. Of course, I am quoting the translation because all the interviews happen in Italian. Talking about the song and the lyrics. A song that makes my heart sweet, and in which I tried with courage to sing the joy, but also the restlessness, very important, that a new birth brings with it. The love that asks for nothing in return, the absurd and at times uncontrollable happiness, but also the fear of losing this happiness, the regret for the life before, the time that does not return. Very important, this description. And then the earth, the roots, the seasons, the leaves that go and those that come. And perhaps above all, the everlasting swing between the child who would eternally like to tell others and himself fairy tales, and the adult who knows how important what lies in the shadows is. The thin line that passes between being parents and still feeling like children. Because one thing is just writing a song about, oh my god, I'm so happy my child was born, because the song is dedicated to his daughter. Brunori has a daughter. We are going to talk about her in because it's relevant for the lyrics. So we'll find her in the lyrics, even if hidden. And but also the struggle, because what many songs fail is to properly represent this duality of human feelings, because many experiences bring with them multiple emotions: happiness, fear, sadness, nostalgia, melancholy, mainly the arrival of a newborn, the arrival of a child, okay, the birth of a child, because it's an event very important for the parents, bringing with it so many emotions that many songs fail to communicate them. And in my opinion, Brunori Sas, with his song L'albero delle noci, received so much love and appreciation because he managed to communicate all these feelings both through the lyrics and the music. And in fact, some even said that he should have gone to the Eurovision to represent Italy, because it's one of those cases where the music conveys the meaning of the song very well. So it is very good and appropriate for a scene where not everyone understands the lyrics, because of course the lyrics are in Italian, and at the Eurovision you need to communicate the meaning of the song mainly through the music, because the majority of the audience won't understand the lyrics. Okay. That said, since we talk a lot about the lyrics, let's see them. We start with an intro. Sono cresciute veloci le foglie. The leaves have grown fast. Here I had to change the order of the elements in the sentence, because while in Italian the structure of the sentence can be very flexible, because we can move the subject around, we can avoid expliciting it, we can move parts of the sentence around without issue, and it's quite easy to understand the meaning of the sentence nonetheless. In English, doing that is a little bit more complex. So, just so you know, sono cresciute means have grown fast. Sorry, sono cresciute veloci, have grown fast. Le foglie, the leaves. Sull'albero delle noci, on the walnut tree. And here we have the reference to the title. E nei tuoi occhi di mamma, and in your mother's eyes. Here is in your mother's eyes is not meant, like here it's harder to translate, because in your mother's eyes you can think, okay, he's talking with the child. No, here he's actually talking to the wife. So he's telling to his wife, in your eyes as a mother, in your mother's eyes, in your eyes that are now the eyes of a mother. So here he's speaking to the wife. Adesso splende una piccola fiamma. Now shines a little flame. Did you remember when a moment ago I said that the child is hidden in the lyrics? Here is where the child is hidden. Here we have adesso splende una piccola fiamma. Now shines in your eyes, in your mother's eyes, a little flame. And one might think, okay, because the light of the joy of a child, of a pregnancy, and yeah, that's true. Like, I think, like, always remember that unless I directly quote the artist, this is personal interpretation. But usually, when you see the light in someone's eyes, the fire, the flame in someone's eyes, also in Italian is like joy, passion, sometimes like strong emotions, generally speaking. But here there is a trick, and here is where the child is hidden, because the name of Brunori's child is Fiammetta, which literally means little flame. And that's why I'm saying here is here is the place where the daughter is hidden in the song. Io come sempre canguro, I as always kangaroo, fra il passato e il futuro, between the past and the future. And here we have the theme that I mentioned at the beginning, considering the meaning of the lyrics, of a man, of a person, on the edge between the past of when you don't have a child, but you are also a child, your past life, because all the parents know that the birth of a child changes your life, and it's not all positive. And the future, because also the fact that now you have a child, the thing that you are going to see them grow, and so on. But also the fact that children grow very fast. Also because here the song is dedicated to the child, but nowadays the child is already 4. So Brunori is already seeing his child growing quite fast. Scrivo canzoni d'amore, I write love songs, alla ricerca di un porto sicuro, looking for a safe harbor. Porto sicuro is an Italian idiomatic expression, metaphoric. More than idiomatic expression is more like a metaphor used to describe your safe place, your safe zone. And why a love song is a safe zone? Because in Italy, the classic song, the easy one to sing and write, is the love song. So, of course, for a musician, the love song is the safe zone, okay? It's the comfort zone. E come un ragioniere, and like an accountant, in bilico fra il dare e l'avere, in balance between giving and receiving. In Italian, when you have to do the bookkeeping, you usually have 2 columns. In English, these columns are usually defined as debit and credit. In Italian are named dare and avere, where dare is giving and avere is having, as in receiving. So giving debit, receiving credit. Faccio partite doppie, I do double entries in bookkeeping, because as I said, you have these double entries where you have the debit and the credit. So partita doppia is when you have these two columns, one next to the other, and you write all the debits and credits. So everything leaving your finances and entering the finances. Persino col mio cuore, even with my heart, where col is con plus il, so with plus the, is a so-called preposizione articolata. And the meaning of this whole part of the intro that closes that finishes the intro, in my opinion, means like aims to describe a person that is very rational, very logic, in a bit in need of control, because basically the artist is saying, even with my heart, I keep everything in order, just like you would do while bookkeeping, okay? Because usually an accountant needs to be very precise with the data they manage. Then we have a little bridge that you will see several times in the song. I am not a musician. Lyric speaking, okay. Writing speaking, this is a bridge because it connects the parts of the song. Specifically, this bridge connects the intro and the first verse. Come si può cadere in basso? How can one fall down? In Italian, we use the reflexive form to use the impersonal form. I can't literally translate it in English because there's no such formula. So, come si può cadere in basso? How can one fall down? Da una distanza siderale. From a sideral distance. Usually when something is sideral, it means it comes from the space. So it's basically describing a huge fall down, because it's basically like falling from the heavens, okay? However, I found interesting because this word and the category to which meaning-wise it belongs to keeps coming, and it is the category, the meaning, the theme of the stars. This word and other words related to stars are mentioned more than like several times in the song. And it is curious because even the visual video, you can find it in the resources I left in the description, there is the representation of a solar system in a certain way. In the video, we have the child, Fiammetta, wearing a mask of a sun, and everyone starts rotating around her, forming a sort of solar system where the child is in the middle. In one of the interviews that I put in the description, Brunori explains that the choice, this artistic choice, was due to the fact that he pictures the birth of a child a bit like a solar system, because the newborn is like a sun, like a star, and all the family members start to gather around the newborn and go in circles around them, like surrounding them, because the newborn becomes the center of the attention, in this case represented by the sun as the center of the solar system. So the child becomes a star, and around it rotating all the family members like planets around the stars, because it has this attraction, okay, this gravity around them. And then we have the first verse. Sono passati veloci. They pass quickly, implied because the subject in this construction comes after. Questi anni feroci, these ferocious years. If we had to put the words in order, it would be questi anni feroci sono passati veloci. These ferocious years passed quickly. And once again, we have this idea that we saw also in the intro, sono cresciute veloci. So we have this repetition of things happening fast, veloci, okay, fast, quick, and whatnot. And ferocious a little bit because you don't even have time to leave them. Okay, because they are passing a little bit aggressively, eating away your time. E nel mio cuore di padre, and in my father's heart, il desiderio adesso è chiuso a chiave. The desire is now locked away. In Italian, locked away is chiuso a chiave, just like in English is, if not an expression, a collocation, if we want, and it literally translates as locked with a key. Chiuso, chiuso a chiave. And here, in my opinion, the idea is that the desire of becoming a father is secured. It can't be removed from the heart of the narrator, of the singer. And here, like, we have to make a little note, a biographical note, because in the past, this I read it in one of the interviews. I don't know if it's true, but apparently in the past Brunori said he didn't want to become father. Here probably the idea is to communicate the fact that he changed idea, and this time the will, the desire of becoming and being a father cannot be taken away, because he is locked inside his heart. E tu sei stata bravissima, and you were very good, all'esame di maturità, at the final exam. Ad unire i puntini, to connect the dots, fra la mia bocca e la verità, between my mouth and the truth. Now, a bit cryptic these verses, so of course, once again, I'll tell you what I think. Esame di maturità, l'esame di maturità, is the final exam all the Italian students have to pass, or at least to try, to complete the studies at the high school. It doesn't matter the type of high school you do, because we have several types and categories of high schools in Italy. It doesn't matter. Everyone needs to do this final exam called esame di maturità, which literally translates as maturity exam, because in theory it should be a way to show that you are a mature person, academically speaking. And in fact, usually you do this exam more or less when you reach 18 years old. Usually you are 18, 19 years old when you do this exam, which is also 18 years old, the age of consent, the age of when you become legally responsible, is legally speaking the age in which you become mature, you become a young adult, okay? In this case, it is not we don't have to take it literally speaking, because we are not talking about the high school exam, because it cannot be dedicated to the child, because the child is only 4 years old. I don't know, it doesn't seem very realistic that he's already thinking about the child when she will be 18, 19. What I think is happening here is that the artist is still talking to the wife. And to the wife, he's saying, you've been the best at being mature as my partner and to make me realize the truth, to connect the dots between my mouth and the truth. And what is this truth? That he actually wanted to become a father, that he actually wanted to have a child, which would also match the idea that he previously said he didn't want to become a parent, ok? Che tutto questo amore, that since all this love, io non lo posso sostenere. I can't bear it. Perché conosco benissimo, because I know very well, le dimensioni del mio cuore, the size of my heart. Now, we'll see an opposition between the ending of the first verse and the ending of the song, because we go from what he used to think, okay? And I like to think that the truth he managed to say, so when his wife and partner connected the dots between the mouth and the truth, and starting from this verse of the song, we'll start to hear from his mouth the truth. And the truth started with the fact that he didn't think he was enough to, how can I say it, to bear the love of a child, or generally speaking, to grow a child. So the truth is that he thought he wasn't enough to become a parent. Then we have the bridge. Again, I don't know, musically speaking, like meaning speaking, it is a connection between the first verse and the chorus. E posso navigare, and I can navigate, anche in assenza di stella polare, even in the absence of a North Star. In Italian, stella polare, North Star, is literally called polar star, like star from the pole, okay? Other very important thing, remember these two lines, because they will come later to for the end of the song. Just like as I said, these two parts, in fact, mark the start of the story, okay? Until now we had the prologue, and we'll see it mirrored at the end when the end of the story is told. Then we have the chorus. Vorrei cambiare la voce. I would like to change my voice. Vorrei cantare. I would like to sing. Senza parole, without words. Senza mentire, without lying. Per paura di farti soffrire. For fear of making you suffer. Vorrei cantarti l'amore. Amore. I would like to sing you love. Love, as in about love. Il buio che arriva, the darkness that comes, nel giorno che muore, on the day that dies, senza cadere, without falling, nella paura di farti male, in the fear of hurting you. This part, this first verse, is about the fear, the negative side of becoming parents. So all those things that we start fearing when we are about to have a child. And the artist, in one of the interviews, clearly said that what some people are still failing to see, because of course when you have such high quality songs, you need to think about them, listen to them several times. Here, in my opinion, you can see a good song. It's a song that keeps telling you keeps telling you a side of the story each time you listen to it, and you can also learn something new about them, and you can always change the perspective while listening to them. And in this case, he said, what arrived immediately is the joy of a newborn, and it makes sense, like it's not something wrong. What arrives a little bit later, probably because generally speaking, the melody is very sweet, so probably the whole fear and restlessness is not that immediate, and it's normal because one thinks about birth, a newborn, and the first thing you think about is happiness and joy, which makes sense. What the artist said is it's taking a bit of time to many people to arrive, to come to the fear, restlessness, the negative part, okay, the shadow, okay, the other face of the moon, the other side of the coin. And here specifically he said that he wanted to communicate a very specific fear he had and still has, I guess, about two things of becoming parent. One is to tell your child, to give your child answers that you do not have as a parent. And in fact he says, vorrei cantare senza parole, senza mentire. I would like to sing without words, without lying. I have Alex dying on the side. I would like to sing without words, without lying. Why lying? Because there are many parents selling themselves to their children like they have the life figured out, like they have all the answers. And what Brunori said in one of the interviews is, I don't want to be the type of parent falling into the conviction that I have all the answer to my child, because I don't have them. And the other big fear is to become an helicopter parent. In fact, he says, vorrei cantarti l'amore senza cadere nella paura di farti male. I would like to sing you about love without falling in the fear of hurting you. As in, I want to love you, my child, but without loving you too much, without becoming an helicopter father or parent in general, because he explained that one of the one of his biggest fears is to become that type of parent overprotecting the child, which caused the child to not being able to fully live. And in my opinion, this is a beautiful and very important part of parenthood that needs to be told. And that's why, in my opinion, this song is one of the best of the festival. And I'm very happy it managed to reach one of the first positions. Then we have the second verse. Sono cresciuto in una terra crudele. I grew up in a cruel land. And in fact, as anticipated, verse 2 is fully dedicated to Brunori as a child, telling the story of his past. I grew up in a cruel land, dove la neve si mescola al miele, where snow mixes with honey, where snow is mixed with honey. And here, personally, I see the opposition between snow, something melting, something cold, something not stable, opposed to something sweet, something preserving things. So in this case, snow has a little bit of negative connotation, while the honey, on the opposite, has a more positive connotation. E le persone buone and good people portano in testa corone di spine, where on their heads crowns of thorns. Here, a clear religious reference to Jesus Christ. But it is also important to specify another biographical note about Brunori, which is he is from a region of South Italy called Calabria. Basically, is under Campania, the region where is Naples. It is like the little part before of the foot of the boot, okay? On the other side of Puglia. Calabria is a region who had in the past and still has many difficulties. First of all, because it's a beautiful land. Also having, however, difficulties that can be quite common in South region because it has arid zones, okay? But it is also a region heavily wounded by mafia. Now, little explanation, because I know that many non-Italian people don't have naturally the knowledge of what the mafia really is. First of all, what is commonly called mafia became a general term, a category, to indicate a very specific type of and dangerous type of organized crime. However, mafia is the name of the criminal, dangerous organization with a very specific structure coming from Sicily. Mafia was the first one of these organized crime associations with the very specific structure of clans, family, and whatnot we nowadays know. And since the first one was in Sicily and it was the mafia, it took that name. However, there are several types of these criminal associations, and they changed their name according to their original region. We have mafia originally from Sicily, from Calabria, 'ndrangheta, from Campania, Camorra, and from Apulia, Sacra Corona Unita. They are not anymore specifically in this region. These are the regions where they are historically born, okay? 'Ndrangheta, sadly, is one of the most powerful because, unlikely what you might think, is not mafia anymore. It destroyed and deeply wounded the region, and then spreads to towards the other regions of Italy. And that's why he starts with these, at least in my opinion, it is relevant, the history of the region and its wounds. And then he keeps going. Ed ho imparato sin da bambino, and I learned since I was a child, la differenza fra il sangue e il vino. The difference between blood and wine. Another blood and wine, sangue e vino, another reference, religious reference, ok? E che una vita si può spezzare, and that a life can break or can be broken, per un pezzetto di carne o di pane, for a piece of meat or bread. E a tutta questa felicità, and to all this happiness, io non mi posso abituare. I can't get used to. Perché conosco il sogno del faraone, because I know the pharaoh's dream, le vacche grasse e le vacche magre, the fat cows and the thin cows. Now, explanation. What is saying? I was born in a difficult situation, in a region, in a land deeply wounded. To all this happiness, the happiness of having a child, I can't get used to it because it's too much. Because I know the dream of the pharaoh. And what is this dream? Talking about fat cows and thin cows. Explanation. The pharaoh's dream of the cows is a famous episode in the Bible's Genesis, in which the pharaoh dreams of 7 fat and beautiful cows that are devoured by 7 thin and ugly cows. Joseph, called to interpret the dream, explains that the 7 fat cows represent 7 years of abundance, while the 7 thin cows represent 7 years of famine. Specifically, in Italian, le vacche grasse e le vacche magre, the fat cows and the thin cows, became an idiomatic expression that implies that even if you are having good times, that they will be eaten, okay, metaphorically speaking, by the bad times, so that you can just always relax and give for granted that everything is always being always will ever be good and positive, but you also have to keep in mind that to the good moments are you need lives alternates bad moments, because this is the natural order of things. Everything passes, good times and bad times. So if you are having a good time, you need to be prepared to the fact that bad times will arrive. That's why he said, I can't get used to this happiness because I know it is going to pass. And then we have another bridge. Do you know what I said before, that you need to remember the previous bridge? Well, that's why. È che si può cadere, and that one can fall, da una distanza siderale, from a sideral distance, which is exactly, not exactly, but very similar to the first bridge. And now we understand it a little bit better. Because what does it mean? The bad time coming to fall from the heaven, to lose the good times. In this, in my opinion, in this, according to this meaning, like this part has this meaning, okay? Then we have one last chorus. Vorrei cambiare la voce. I would like to change my voice. Vorrei cantare. I would like to sing. Senza parole, without words. Senza mentire, without lying. Per paura di farti soffrire. For fear or making you suffer. Vorrei cantarti l'amore, amore. I would like to sing you love, love. La notte che arriva, the night that comes. Nel giorno che muore, in the day that dies. Senza cadere, without falling. Nella paura di farti male, in the fear of hurting you. And then the song ends with an outro. Sono cresciuti troppo veloci, once again, they grew too fast. Questi riccioli meravigliosi, these wonderful curls, and of course he's talking about the hair of the child. E ora ti vedo camminare, and now I see you walking, con la manina in quella di tua madre, in your with your little hand in your mother's, like in your mother's hand. E tutta questa felicità, do you remember when I said, and now he starts to tell the story and the truth he's speaking about? Now we close the circle. E tutta questa felicità and all this happiness, forse la posso sostenere. Maybe I can bear it. Perché hai cambiato l'architettura, because you changed the architecture, e le proporzioni del mio cuore, and the proportions of my heart. And these two lines are probably the most beautiful of the entire song. E posso navigare, do you remember the bridge? And I can sail sotto una nuova stella polare, under a new North Star. And if we go to check the second bridge, he used to say, and I can navigate even in the absence of a North Star. But in the end, he realized that he can sail, and implied, in my opinion, probably it's even better, under a new North Star, his child. So, these were the lyrics of L'albero delle noci. Now, let's talk about gossip. No, actually, there's not much gossip to do concerning this song, because what do you want me to say, despite the fact that it is just a beautiful song. It's just amazing. Definitely one of my favorites of this festival. Beautiful, incredibly beautiful. And like the only gossip I can bring, because also like the fact is that Brunori and his wife are very like reserved. They don't like to expose their private life, which is completely, like, I totally agree. In fact, I don't particularly appreciate the overexposed artists. I don't even like when people try to to ravage in their private life. I care about the artist because of the art, and not because I want to have a parasocial relationship with them. So that's why I appreciate this behavior. That said, how can I say? The only thing that might be interesting is it's more a fun fact at this point. It is the name. As I said, Brunori Sas is not named Brunori Sas because the name of the artist is Dario Brunori. Then what does it mean, this Sas? Because Brunori is the last name, Sas. Ok, Sas in Italian means società in accomandita semplice. And you might ask me, what is a società in accomandita semplice? It is a type of enterprise, a type of company. Okay. I'm not going to explain what I studied when I studied commercial law, just so you know it's a type of company. You don't need to know anything else. And Brunori Sas was the name of the company of the father. In fact, Dario Brunori, is not only a great singer and artist, he's also an entrepreneur in Calabria, I guess, or in Tuscany. I don't remember where he lives now because, like, he's from Calabria, but he actually lived a bit in Tuscany and Milan, I guess, as well. But basically, he has a wine company. He makes wine. And the company of the father was in fact called Brunori Sas, which is a bit like Brunori and Co, or like literally it is Brunori società in accomandita semplice. So like Brunori Enterprise. And as far as I read, I don't know, maybe the biggest fans of Brunori will be able to confirm or deny this information, but as far as I know, the father of Brunori wasn't happy. He wanted to become an artist, probably because he wanted him to keep going with the enterprise, to take care of the family activity. Okay. And in fact, those telling you Italia, dolce vita, pizza, pasta, mandolino, no. Actually, also in Italy, being an artist is not that well seen. There are many families who are not very happy when their children want to become artists. And so, like, to mock a bit, like, to not to mock, but like as a joke, Brunori decided to use as a stage name Brunori Sas, which was the name, and still is the name of the family company. That was the gossip. This was the top gossip I could give you. Now, before saying goodbye, if you are interested in listening to interviews in Italian, to do some exercise in listening, I suggest listening to the interviews to Brunori, because first of all, he's very funny. Second of all, in my opinion, he is very nice to listen to. He's a very entertaining person. He's a very interesting person. And it is also a good example of how different can be the accent while speaking in Italian, and how important are dialects for us, because objectively our accents as Italians are very influenced by our dialects. I am perfectly aware, even if I'm losing it, that my Italian accent is based on on my dialect. My dialect is from the region Piemonte, northwest, next to France. In fact, my dialect is based on French. This doesn't mean that it's easier for me to speak French, by the way. It's just based on it, more for the construction than the sounds. But yeah, for example, my accent sounds very different, even if I'm losing it, from the one of Brunori, because Brunori has an accent of an Italian coming from Calabria. Usually the standard Italian accent is either the one from Tuscany or the one from Rome or Milan, okay? My accent is closer to the one you can hear in Milan. The standard Italian is, and it is the Italian you can hear from the actors, from theater actors, speaking with neutral accent, even though it's quite rare, because many Italian performances at the theater, many plays, need specific accents. So at the theater can be hard to find actors using the neutral accent, but not because they cannot, because usually they study diction, but because they have accent necessities, so they need to replicate a specific accent. And the others who usually study dictions are the voice actors. So if you want to, if you're curious and you want to hear the neutral accent, so the so-called no accent Italian, I suggest you to watch Disney movies, for example, or cartoons, because in this case the voice actors use the neutral accent. The standard accent on which the neutral one is based is Tuscany accent. It's the one from Tuscany. Now it is also more standardized Roman accent, but technically, since standard Italian was built over Tuscan dialect, the closest accent to the standard one, the neutral one, is the accent from Tuscany, mainly concerning the vowels, a little bit less concerning the consonants. So that was everything I had to say concerning this song. I hope you enjoyed, and I can't wait to find out what you think in the comments, because in my opinion, this is a song worth your time. That said, grazie everyone for watching, and arrivederci.